To be able to do that, to go to here, to get rich. To do that, you've really got to have a lot of financial education. I don't recommend it, but it's the best way to get rich. President Trump, my friend, we wrote 2 books together. I know some of you guys hate him. A lot of people hate the guy, but he's very smart. He's a capitalist. Obama, socialist, communist. Hillary, crook. So anyway, be very careful right now because I use debt, Trump uses debt. The more debt we use, the less tax we pay. That is why I love real estate. I can use debt and pay no taxes, make a lot of money. So that's really what I teach. I don't recommend it, but for those of you who understand what's called an infinite return, it's the best way to get rich, but you have to have a lot of financial education. So the reason the rich don't pay taxes is because there's 3 types of income. They'll never teach you this in school. The fake teachers will never. There's 3 types of income. Okay, number 1 type of income is earned income. That's earned income. It's when you work for money. It's earned. So that earned income shows up here. So these are the guys that pay tax. So when all the guys are screaming tax the rich, well, you can't tax them because they don't have jobs. And then the second type of income is portfolio income. And portfolio income is from flipping houses, or you buy a stock for like $10, you sell it for $20. That's portfolio income. Okay? I don't do that. Trump doesn't do that. So most guys who are flipping houses and all that, buying stocks and flipping you're getting this type of income. So this income is about 20% today. But the income that the rich work for is called passive income. Passive income is also known as cash flow. That's the name of our game, cash flow. And that income is income that's flowing from here to here. It bypasses taxes. So I know it doesn't sound fair, and it isn't fair. I don't disagree with you. But what's not fair is our schools, which are part of the problem, will never explain that. Our school system is so fake. It's more fake than those fake plastic plants. And these teachers, bless their heart, they don't know any of this. It's who's looking back at you. You're the risk, not the investment. For example, I invest in a lot of real estate and say, oh, real estate is so risky, so I think I'll buy ETFs. So you play it safe, but you'll learn more by investing in real estate, right? Because you'll make more mistakes. So that's the difference there. So it's not real estate that's risky, it's you're risky. And you look at all the pensions of the school teachers, firefighters, and all the guys with 401ks, they're all bankrupt because Wall Street stole their money from them. And the Federal Reserve Bank, they're run by PhDs, like my poor dad. And PhD stands for poor, helpless, and desperate. The Fed has not been right in years. Everybody worships the Federal Reserve Bank. The other day, somebody says, what do you think about artificial intelligence? I said, oh, are you talking about the Federal Reserve Bank? They're the guys stealing from our pension systems. It's horrible what's going on because we have all these PhDs, poor, helpless, and desperate people who are risk averse. But let me tell you what risk is. So when you go to your banker, the banker does not ask you for your report card. So here's the cash flow game, and this is called a financial statement. What makes the cash flow game different from Monopoly, which how my rich dad taught me via Monopoly, is my rich dad also taught me about financial statements. So the cash flow is the only game with a financial statement. So really simply, when you look at a financial statement, there's income, expense, assets, liability. There's one more thing in the cash flow game on the financial statement you'll see. It's the most important statement of all. It's called the statement of cash flow. It's off to the side here. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur or a capitalist, you have to have one of these. If you're going to be rich, you have to have one of these. But 99% of all high school students leaving school and college have no idea what this is. You have FICO scores, but you don't know what this is. So when a banker asks you for your financial statement, they want to see how smart you are here. So let me tell you why school makes students poor. So really simply, it's this. Let's say I have a master's in arts, Master of Arts degree, right? Bachelor of Arts degree. Do I learn anything about income? What about Greek mythology? I wonder why kids are leaving school, or young generation, looking for that high-paying job, but if you have a degree in technology, do you learn anything about assets? So you could be a techie and you know nothing about this. You could be a techie and know nothing about this. You see, when a banker looks at your financial statement, they're looking at the mirror of you. This is a reflection of you. And if you got Jack here and Jack here, then you're not that smart financially. So the reason the cash flow game is such an important game, it teaches you what is important to your banker or for a capitalist or for an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur's got to know how to increase their income. And an entrepreneur's got to know how to create assets. If you don't know those two things, you should not be an entrepreneur. You should be an employee. Which is why so many young people coming out of school have massive student loan debt over here, right? But they don't know anything about. So this pension problem is the biggest problem that faces the world. And the reason is our school system is complicit. You know, they're in cahoots with the banks. So that's why I wrote Rich Dad's Prophecy in 2002. It was about a thing called the 401k. So again, that started back in 1970, again with Nixon and all this stuff. So when I was your age, there was a thing called the three-legged stool. And what they said was, for my generation, you would have savings, you would have Social Security, and you would have a pension, 401k or something. Guess what? Gone. Your generation doesn't have this even. That's the challenge. So that's why the Rich Dad Company was formed. Like I said, I wrote this in 2002, and I said the biggest crash was going to come in 2016. The reason it didn't come, because I started this book in 1999, I didn't see quantitative easing. I didn't see all this printing money coming. So what's happened, do you think the problem has been solved? So what happens, as folks understand, in the world today, there's two types of pensions. There's defined benefits. And that's where the government, or you work for a big corporation like Ford or Chevy, defined benefit is a paycheck for life. This ended in 1970, except for government employees. And they shifted us in 70 to defined contribution. And with defined contribution, it's a 401k or an IRA and those things. You only get what you contribute.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now, let's continue.
So if you're lucky to live to, let's say, 90, this is gone. And you're out of money. So the question is, what is your generation going to do? Now, the thing that most people don't realize is that what's going to cause the biggest crash is this. It's the teachers, firefighters, and police officers. It's the defined benefits that are going to crash the world. And the reason for that was in 2000, what the Federal Reserve banks, the banks of the world, they push interest rates down to below 0%. To guarantee a defined benefit plan, you needed 8%. So they didn't have any money in here. So it's the police officers, firefighters, and teachers that are going to screw us all. People like my poor dad. So what happened is they had their money. Then they started adding debt to it. And what happened was that still wasn't going to cover this year. We couldn't pay for the teachers, the firefighters, and police officers. So around 5-6 years ago, they added taxes to it. So what happens now is for the state and for us, they started raising taxes to try and cover this gap here. So what's happening is, even though Trump gave us a tax cut, the state and local governments are raising taxes. This lazy people always say, I can't afford it. I don't have the money. That's why they're poor. They have a poor mindset. So instead of figuring out how to raise money, it's just really easy to be a loser. And I call them losers. It pisses them off. Because we all have the power, if we wanted to not be poor if we learned how to raise money. So I hear, and the reason I get upset, I still get hot like this. My poor dad, my PhD father, he always said to me, he says, you know, I'd be a rich man if I didn't have you kids. And I said, well, you know, Dad, it's not my fault you had kids. You know, I mean, I just can't afford it because I have kids. And the more he said that, the angrier I got. So when I met my rich dad at age 9, you know, he says, well, that's why your old man's poor, because he's lazy. He thinks his PhD is going to carry him. He says, everybody can say, I don't have money, I can't afford it. He says, that's why he's poor. He's lazy. But my father kept going back to school, you know, Stanford, University of Chicago, Northwestern. He never learned any of this stuff. They still don't know it because most teachers want a paycheck, pension, and tenure. They want job security. So the mindset is different. It's actually called the Robin Hood theory. You take from the rich to give to the poor. And the trouble with Robin Hood, it just creates more crooks. Robin Hood was a crook. You know, oh, he's a good crook. No, he's a crook. So the Rich Dad Company teaches capitalism, how we teach people to fish rather than give people fish. So for your generation, it's important to know the difference between being taught to that guys like me should give you money. I'm out of here. My money's not here anyway. Not that stupid. They say, well, you're going to tax the rich. I said, well, number one, I don't pay taxes, and number two, my money's not here anyway because I'm a global citizen. I make money all over the world. With this little baby here, you can make money anywhere. It's going to change. It's going to be the biggest change in economics. And the thing about it, this is the first time the world is in the same problem. Before, when there was a crash, only Greece went down, or only Puerto Rico went down, or only Venezuela went down. This time the world's going down at one time. So that's why I wrote Prophet says that the crash would come in 2016, but I didn't see quantitative easing. I didn't know how much money they would print. And like I said, when I was your age, you know, entitlements are only 20% of the budget. Today they're 75% of the budget. In 10 more years, in 2030, there'll be so many guys my age with no pensions. That means you got to pay for it. So that's why this whole millennial money, with everything's fake. I'm not blaming you guys, but you have a bigger distinction to make. So I wrote about it in my book, Fake, and if you've seen this before, the cheapest thing you can buy right now is silver. Always remember this. So this is me at your age. I still had my future ahead of me, but I started to buy gold and silver. And then I invested in my financial education. So this is the good news. If you read in Fake, with enough financial education, you'll never need money again. So in Fake, I write about it. It's called the infinite return. Once your financial education is that high and you're really stable in your feet here, I can make money without anything. That's the difference. That's the power of financial education. That's the power of teaching people to fish rather than giving them fish. So I think the escape out is to learn to have a solid foundation of gold or silver or real estate or food, and then go for infinite returns.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.